On this computer. So thank you so much everyone for being here. We are live on a pretty awesome team call. We are very, very, very honored and blessed to have Ilana with us here today, the creator of 2B Mindset. For those of you who might not know, I've been in the test group since February. I started, I think, the second week of February, and even with 8 days in Mexico, I am proud to say I am still down 18 pounds since the start of this program. I know, right? I managed to more or less maintain over 8 days in Mexico, and I pretty much didn't restrict.
Phenomenal.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm sure I peaked up and then peaked down, but it was fantastic. I've never felt more empowered about my food decisions and just in control of my eating and my body, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. So I'm just going to do a quick little intro about Ilana, and we'll probably get into more of this, but Ilana's a registered dietitian nutritionist. She is just overly qualified to help everyone in the world get amazing results with different degrees. The executive team leader for the American Heart Association, Bruin's Health Improvement Program at UCLA. Ilana has an absolutely amazing story of overcoming 100-pound weight loss in her youth to become a registered dietitian, to help other people with this program, and now it's being all revealed, packaged up, and delivered to us with Beachbody to help us help everyone get amazing results and finally overcome the nutrition component that seems to evade so many of us with these fitness programs and with the meal plans. We do great, but then it's kind of like we don't really know what to do outside of that. And this, for me, fills that gap and opens the door for everyone that isn't ready to take that fitness, nutrition, timed nutrition meal plan thing a go. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ilana just to introduce herself, talk a little bit about what 2B Mindset is and get started, and then we'll just get this rolling.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being on the call, and thank you, everyone who has your video on. I love to see you guys. Ryan, I'm so proud of you. That's so freaking awesome. 20 pounds, here you come. Yes, I'll just tell you guys a little bit about myself. Yes, I'm a dietitian and all that stuff, but I'm also someone who's lost 100 pounds and kept it off with the 2B Mindset, creating this system. I'll try to go my story pretty quickly because some of you might have heard it before, but I was very, very overweight as a kid, very obsessed with food. My whole family, big foodies, obsessed with food. Everything revolves around food. Every event, every movie, every carnival, every vacation, everything always food focused, food prioritized, and everything else. I was always told my whole life that we have the fat gene, the slow metabolism, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we're also, overconsumed with food. And I would eat lots of it as a kid. I was like, birthday parties, there'd be the pizza and cake station, and then there'd be the activity. And I was always at the pizza and the cake station, and really just totally preoccupied with food and eating too much of it. At around 4 years old, my parents got divorced. I think that's when I also started viewing food as a coping mechanism for just like overcoming like all the instability in my household. And I would eat just jars of peanut butter, crackers, popcorn, whatever I could get my hands on. I overate. And my parents weren't good influencers in any respect because they were also struggling with their weight. My parents were serial dieters. Atkins, Zone, South Beach, Pritikin, whatever book or fad was going on, they tried. The equivalent today of paleo and then keto and then Whole30, that was my whole childhood, watching my parents do every diet and destructive thing in the book, gain their weight all back, and like start all over again and everything. So I never wanted to go down that path because I saw it was not working for them. It wasn't going to work for anyone. So I just kept eating, didn't have a better solution. So I kept getting bigger and bigger, but my health started taking a big toll as well. And my doctor started seeing I was like going off the charts. My blood sugars were getting high, and my triglycerides, my cholesterol, my blood pressure were all just totally going beyond what an 8-year-old's lab should look like. So at 8 years old, my doctor sent me to weight loss camp. What you guys might know as like fat camp, that's diet camp, whatever it is. I went at 8 years old completely by myself for 9 weeks. I had to get weighed, measured, before and after pictures, had like pre-portioned plates, had to exercise 10 hours a day. Like as crazy as it sounds, that's exactly what it was. But luckily, I tried to make the most of it. I just told my friends I was in sports camp for the summer, and I loved the idea of like losing weight, because I got to come back in September and like look just so much better in my clothes and in my body. But the problem is nothing would change, and I would just go back to all my old ways. My parents didn't change, no one changed, so I just gained all my weight back and more. And then that became my yo-yoing pattern. I would go to camp every summer and lose about 30 pounds, and then go back to school and gain it all back and more. And this literally became my yo-yoing pattern forever. And over time, I just kept gaining more and more weight. Again, through this process, watched my parents do every new fad diet and whatever. I was just like, I'm not doing that, but I didn't have a better way, and no one had a better system of approaching this. So I kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year, every summer, every school year. And I ended up topping off at my highest weight, which was 215 pounds. And I was only 5 feet, 2 inches tall. So I was custom ordering size 20 online, and I was barely even fitting into it at that point. And Gap and Old Navy.com didn't go past size 20. And meanwhile, this is at a time where my friends were still shopping in kids stores. So my friends were in kids stores, and I couldn't fit into adult stores. I was literally custom ordering plus size clothing online. And when it came to go to an event, or a family wedding, my parents wanted to take me to Lane Bryant, and I was just so embarrassed that I was a kid having to go to those stores. So I would try to avoid it by going and getting some like fabric at a fabric store and a tailor to help piece something together for me, because I had literally nothing to wear. And the sad thing is, like, I never thought my body matched my personality. And that's what was so frustrating, is that I always felt like I internally had confidence or was sociable or had a personality, but I was just being weighed down by this body that I just felt out of my control, that this body wasn't representing the liveliness that I felt like I had. And it was just totally getting in the way of me living my best life. I never wanted to try out for the basketball team because I thought everyone would be, judging the way my fat was bouncing on the court. So I didn't even try to do things. I didn't even try to learn how to ride a bike. I didn't try to go to gymnastics or ballet or any of these things because I was too self-conscious about my body and how it looked in everything. So I literally was letting my whole life slip away because of this struggle that I had with my eating, and feeling so uncomfortable in my skin. And I decided enough is enough. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep letting my weight and my negative relationship with food take hold and charge of me getting to where I really want to be, like getting to this easy, positive life that I always wanted to have. So going into high school, that's where I changed my mindset, and I said, enough's enough. And I said, this summer I'm 215 pounds. Let me try to lose as much weight as I can at camp. So I went from 215 to 185. And that's when I said, I'm never again going to start over. I cannot start over again. I have to either maintain this 185 or lose more, but there's no going back. And so that's when I came back to school and I said, you know what, I'm going to go on the scale at least once a week to make sure that I'm not getting past those 180s, right? Because every year I would be going on the scale and have all these tools every summer, and then I would avoid it for 10 months and then feel like, okay, well now it's 50 pounds up. I'm starting all over again. So I was like, okay, at least I'm going to make sure that I'm staying the same, if not improving. So I started doing that. And then in the process, I started having a real open mind and getting really, really, really curious. What can I do? Because I do like to eat a lot of food, and I do love food, and I'm always going to love to eat a lot of food and love to eat food. And I never want to diet. And I always want to be able to just go to pizza with my friends and enjoy myself. But how can I approach it in a way that I can still lose weight and keep it off? So I started really learning from anyone I could. And I started going to friends' houses, and I would go to my friends' houses who had a healthier weight, and the mom and dad and all the siblings were naturally thin, right? And I would think oh, they're so lucky and be so jealous. But then I would also realize, well, their dinner table looks a lot different than my family's dinner table. And their pantry looks a lot different than my pantry. And their conversations about food are so different than mine. And they're talking about going to a family wedding, and they're not only talking about the caterer and the cuisine, they're talking about the band and the bride and who they're going to see there. And I started realizing just how different. And I saw that the mom, this healthier mom, would be running every morning because that helped her relieve stress in her work. and versus like needing to work out just to lose weight. And just a totally different mindset and approach to achieving a healthy lifestyle that's more sustainable and achievable. And I started soaking up whatever I could learn and figuring out a better system. And for the first time in my life, I started losing weight on my own. And I decided my life was just getting so much better as a result. I felt so much more confident, so much more sociable, so much healthier, so much better, so much more vibrant because of it. And I was still eating a lot of food and enjoying my life without overly restricting, but just with enough tools in my tool belt to ensure that I was in a good place. And so I wanted to make sure that I would, give that best advice to everyone else around me. So I decided to become a registered dietitian and achieve like all the credibility I can in the space of nutrition. So I would be doing it healthiest and I would be giving the healthiest advice to others. And in the process, I, got down about 75 pounds, got my degrees. And at that point, UCLA hired me to lead this Brew and Health Improvement Program, which was a weight loss program. And they wanted to offer this 12-week weight loss course that I was going to be leading and designing for 100 UCLA employees who need to lose 40 pounds or more. And it was a really diverse group of people. So I had 19-year-olds to 75-year-olds and everything in between. And I had people who were on their feet all day, like janitors and cooks and nurses. And then I had people who sat down all day because they were administrative assistants or secretaries and everything. I had people with metabolic conditions. I had people with genetic disorders or people on medications that like told them that they were going to gain weight. I had women going through menopause. I had nursing women. I had people who liked to work out. I had people who didn't like to work out, and literally everything in between. And in this group, I had to create a weight loss system that would help all these people. And that was my first time practicing what I did in myself and my studies onto others. And the groups were just so diverse. I had Italians and Muslims and Greeks and people fasting for Lent and everyone celebrating different holidays every winter time, but like all in one group of people. And I started testing out the waters and it was really successful. And in that first semester, the average weight loss was about 12 pounds in 12 weeks. But UCLA and I wanted to make it better and keep improving. And in addition to teaching a group setting like this, I got to work with each person one-on-one. And one-on-one, when I started working with each of these people, they would all start to confide in me and confess in me different things. And people would start saying, Ilana, I know you say that this is what we should eat for dinner, but I'm craving Chinese takeout and I'm craving pizza. And I'm like, my family, we had burgers at night. And then I would, another person would say to me, Ilana, I know you're saying that that's what I should eat at a party, but you don't understand what happens when my mother-in-law makes that quip. It just makes me want to eat all the chips and cookies in the world. And Ilana, I know you're saying I shouldn't do this, but you don't understand how much I struggle with that, or how much I'm craving that, or how much I self-sabotage. And Ilana, you keep saying I should be able to lose weight, but I just don't believe I can. And all these other aspects. And I kept thinking like, you're not the only one who feels that way. I feel that way too. So does he, so does she. We all feel that way sometimes. And I started realizing that weight loss for myself and for everyone, yes, it's nutritional, but it's also weight, if not the same, if not more, behavioral, environmental, like just what we have around us, and emotional. And that's when I started realizing that, and I realized nothing is approaching me. And I realized over the past 30 years, watching my parents do Atkins and Zone and Pritikin and then seeing, Whole30 and paleo and keto and all these programs and vegan and all this stuff, I started realizing it's all the same. It's all not working for the exact same reason. Everyone's telling you just the nutrition. Eat this, don't eat this, don't eat this, do eat this, and all this stuff. And no one's hitting all of this real stuff that's like really the underlying like big piece of the puzzle of achieving and overcoming the weight loss journey, which is that emotional piece, that behavioral piece, that environmental piece. And I got to help create systems to overcome this. And so I started creating a system to approach all of these different things. And I started realizing there are all these little sayings we have in our head that are self-sabotaging us. So what are some sayings I could say and teach people that would help overcome that? And I started realizing, a lot of people are telling me that they're not emotional eaters, they're not volume eaters, but what do you do at a Thanksgiving meal when you're just around food for so long? Or the Super Bowl where you're just around food for 4 hours? Or, like a wedding where you're just around food for so long. That's why I started creating a system for what to do when you're just around food for a long time. And all these pieces that no one was ever touching upon. And the weight loss just kept getting better and better for everyone I was working with. And the average weight loss at my UCLA seminar, I ended up teaching that group of 100 people, a new fresh group every single semester, and got the 12-week average weight loss from 12 to 14 to 16 to 18 to 20 to 22 to 25 pounds. And the averages just kept getting better as I kept refining and perfecting the system and the processes while building up my private practice and working with hundreds of people in my own personal setting. And that's when I also had my daughter and had to go back into weight loss mode after I had my daughter. And that's actually when I lost my last 25 pounds after kind of applying that like really great perfected system. And that's when I met Beachbody. And I met Beachbody about 2 years ago. And I was like, at this point, I'd worked with thousands of people. I was down 100 pounds, super excited to share the program and just launch this thing. And Beachbody said, you know what, we're going to take our time and we're going to really develop this. And in the past 2 years, I think this is the longest Beachbody has ever spent developing a program. We started our first test group 16, 17 months ago. I just saw someone today who's down 95 pounds, kept it off for the past year and a half since doing the program. It's like awesome. And we've just taken the average weight losses even better. I think now we're seeing that 25-pound weight loss that used to take 12 weeks in my UCLA program. We're seeing now in like 8 to 9 weeks, or not 8 to 9 to 10 weeks with the test group. So it's super effective. It's gotten really amazing and wonderful. And now I'm so excited to share it with everyone starting next week.
Next week, it's almost here. 8 days. We've been counting it down. It's 8 days.
It's literally been 2 years since I met Lara, and you guys just didn't know, but I've been working with Beachbody undercover for a really long time on this.
I can't imagine, because we've been dying since that February group where everyone was always like, when can we tell people that this exists? I can't imagine what it's been like for you.
Yeah.
So that covers a lot of what we were looking at covering. And I guess you kind of already touched on this a little bit, but maybe just kind of a direct Q&A on this one is who is the 2B mindset for? Like, who is it best?
So, I mean, it's certainly for anyone who needs to lose their last 5 pounds to someone who needs to lose 250 plus pounds. So it's really definitely a super effective weight loss program. However, and that's like obviously the positioning we were going to take with it is it's just a really effective weight loss program. However, in my private practice, I've seen just women or men who are at a healthy weight and just need to improve their relationship with food in their bodies. And we didn't think that demographic was big enough to even like approach. But the truth is, in running so many coach test groups the past couple of months, we've seen there's so many coaches who do have a healthy weight, aren't interested in losing weight, and from the outside have a really great body physique and seeming relationship with food. But when they've done the test group just to learn about the program, in the process they see how much this program has benefited their own personal relationship with food in their bodies. So for example, like we've had so many coaches say that they weren't in it to do it for themselves, but in the process said that like in the past they used to have a burger and fries and then beat themselves up and call it a cheat and feel like they had to do a double workout the next day and be down on themselves. And now they don't have that. And they realize they had a burger and fries because they're human, and no longer have that guilt approach to it, and no longer beat themselves, and actually see that they can still achieve all their health goals while having those instances. So this is certainly definitely also for people who are at a healthy weight but need to improve their relationship with food in their bodies. It's also for anyone who believes that they can't lose weight. They need to be disproven. So like we've had a lot of people in the test groups who have PCOS, which is a condition where a lot of doctors tell women that they will have trouble losing weight. And we've had like dozens of women with PCOS in our test group who completely disprove that belief and actually lose a lot of weight doing the program as is, and seeing a lot of success and have a lot of fun telling their doctors they actually can lose weight. We've had a lot of nursing women do this and love it, because even when they can't exercise after nursing, they can apply the principles and still get to their pre-baby weights while feeding their kids. This is definitely a program for people who can't work out, don't want to work out, don't have time to work out, aren't confident enough in their bodies to like get themselves there, which I totally can relate to. So it's definitely for anyone out there who has no interest in exercising and needs to get the food piece together. And then eventually will typically be the type of person who's going to ask you what they should do in the future, because they'll want to work out after a couple of weeks doing this program and feeling so good and empowered in their bodies. And this is also for a lot of coaches and a lot of humans and a lot of Americans, a lot of people out there who have been exercising for the past couple of months and years, who are willing to work out and take on those physical challenges, but aren't seeing the results they really want because their eating isn't in the right place. And in that case, people are going to love this program. And you can definitely continue working out while doing the 2B mindset. But I definitely recommend, if you have a relationship with exercise where you look at it as such a torture or challenge that, you know, you got to treat yourself to food afterwards or relieve yourself of guilt or, you know, earn that cake afterwards or whatever it is, then I recommend maybe dialing back. So you can focus on this and get a positive relationship with food and get that in control. And then, you know, weaving this back in. And that necessarily doesn't mean stopping exercise, but that can mean maybe go for some, like from an intense lifting program to maybe a yoga retreat, a size, a country heat, a walking, while getting this into a good place, and then maybe dialing it up in the future, or just maybe going from a 6-day-a-week workout regimen to a 3 to 4-day-a-week regimen, like just kind of figuring out a workout system for you that still helps you achieve the, you know, the eating goal and prioritizing this and getting this into a good place.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So I know this question is probably coming up, and I think someone just mentioned it. So it kind of goes into the, kind of our last main topic we want to cover here is just how can you explain how the 2B mindset works so that the coaches on this call can have a better idea of how to explain it to someone that might be starting it up next week?
Okay, so the 2B mindset is a video-based program. So it consists of about 40 videos. The videos range from 2 minutes to 30 minutes. The longest video is the grocery store, because I'm literally taking you like aisle by aisle in the grocery store, showing you how quickly you can like read a label to know like whether it's worth it or whether you should put it back in like the simplest forms. It has like tips on like how to save money, how to just like streamline the process of going grocery shopping, so you're not distracted by all those like 2-for-1 specials, and you just stay focused and, you know, can have a super efficient shopping trip. So it just sets your whole week up for success. So that's why that video is longer, but most of the videos are a lot shorter, but they're still packed with information. So I recommend watching it more than one time. And the videos, they're about 26 that kind of break down the program. It's the equivalent of having like 10 to 15 private sessions with me. It starts with the foundation. So I think someone wrote like, how does this work? Yeah, it has my 2 bunnies, which is 2B, like that's my 2B mindset. So you hear that a lot. But those are 4 of my many principles. And the 2 bunnies are basically like my foundational guidelines. So a lot of people are concerned with the word mindset, and they're scared that that's not enough structure. And a lot of people are like, but I need structure in order to lose weight, and I'm an all or nothing person. You're going to be fine. Like I promise, there's enough built-in structure to this program that you will feel in control and seeing progress. That's why people have lost 70, 80, 90, 95, 100 pounds doing this program, is because there is enough structure to make sure that you are seeing progress and results. But then there's enough flexibility, which you start to learn in the following videos, where I talk about the food groups and what you want at breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner, which you'll see. I'm not ever going to tell you to have chicken and Brussels sprouts for dinner because you might want to go to sushi, right? So it's kind of like shows you what you want at each meal for optimal energy, mindset, weight loss, but with enough flexibility that you can figure out your best system. There's also videos talking about emotional eating. There's videos talking about traveling, so you can travel with the 2B mindset. There are videos talking about how to go to events and parties. There's a video talking about like how to order takeout. There's a video called Don't Cook, and it's a video of literally me at a dining room table with a stack of menus, how to order Chinese, how to order Italian, how to order a steakhouse, how to get a meal at just like a 7-Eleven or a Starbucks or wherever you are, like, and just kind of make it work. So you can have this program really work and fit seamlessly into your everyday lifestyle. And then there are also additional videos about like, but Ilana, what to do if the scale goes up? Now what? Or Ilana, I feel like I hit a plateau. Now what do I do? Or Ilana, like, I feel like I completely fell off. Now what do I do? So there's also videos kind of addressing all those like issues that you feel like you always have, and then how to set up your kitchen for best success, and then also just a lot of recipe videos that you're going to love, because I am super like messy in the kitchen, not perfect, and you're going to see that like with under 5 ingredients or less, usually you can make big, satisfying, delicious meals. Cheap, easy, accessible ingredients, nothing too fancy, nothing pre-chopped or measured. Like, you're going to watch me chop it if it has to be chopped. So you'll realize that you can make these awesome dishes as well. And in addition to the videos, you're also going to get a go-to guide, a recipe book, a tracker, and an awesome water bottle that perfectly complement the program, so that you'll actually get a physical box as well. Ryan, what are some of the?
Awesome. Sorry, I was just reading through. The questions. So I think,
and instead of reading, like, people like come on, and I'm seeing like these are kind of like long.
That's what we're doing right now. We're going to start getting people to ask their own questions. So I know Allison had the first question, Allison McGuigan. You kind of half touched on it, but Allison, do you want to unmute yourself and we can make sure you get that all sorted out? Hang on, you're muted. There you go.
Hi, this is awesome. Yeah, you kind of touched, I'm going to take this off. You kind of touched on my question. I was basically just saying, I'll just speak for myself, but I feel like a lot of my clients are in the same boat as well. I am at an ideal weight for myself. I'm kind of that person who goes program to program. And if I'm following, I just did 80-day obsession, and I followed the meal plan to an absolute T, as a lot of my clients did. Thank you. Yeah, and it was a big undertaking. And then I went to Mexico, and now I'm back, and I'm trying to find that balance. And I don't want to go back to that super structured meal plan, but I want to kind of maintain. Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to find that balance without having to be so strict.
The coolest. Yeah, that's honestly one of the best testimonials that comes out of the coaches doing this group, is that the coaches say in the past it was like all or nothing. They do a program, they do it for the set time. They can't believe how accomplished they are in that time, but then they're completely lost in binging in between. And then they're just waiting for the next program. And this is literally the bridge that makes it so you never feel lost. You never go through that. You actually just know how to eat well and want to eat well, and how to approach eating on a day-to-day lifestyle that feels consistent and cool. And that's why the 2B mindset is, you're going to be able to do the 2B mindset eating plan while doing any Beachbody workout without ever having to follow those workouts and those meal plans in the past. So you'll do the 2B mindset eating plan and then start PIO workouts or start 80-day workouts. And in the test group, we've had people do 2B mindset eating plan and literally and size and country heat and 80-day obsession and Sean week. And the results have been tremendous, incredible. And also, like, on May 2nd, coaches in the coach office will get a video made by Lara and Denis works at Food and Nutrition Results at Beachbody. And he's actually the one who's created all those meal plans that go along with all the workouts with the trainers and everything. And he will basically show you on May 2nd in that coach thing of how you should follow the 2B mindset eating plan, and how if you are doing one of those additional Beachbody workouts, how you would modify it if you need to at all.
Awesome.
And make it work. So it might be that, like, you're doing the 2B mindset meal plan and you're doing size and you don't need to make any modification, maybe just energize or hydrate if you feel like you sweat a lot. But if you're doing 80-day obsession, still, like, you could do the 2B mindset eating plan, but maybe you'll want to add in the recover, the recharge, or like an extra snack or whatever. So it's a great question. And we definitely
thank you so much.
Yeah. And you'll love that aspect of it.
I actually just started this week doing Shift Shop. So the first intense workout since starting in February. And I'm actually playing around with it. I'm trying to do 2B mindset in an 8-hour eating window. So kind of intermittent fasting with 2B mindset. I can't eat all my food and I have more energy in my workouts. It's mind blowing because you don't think if you're not following structure that you'll be able to keep up, but it's remarkable what you can do. Okay. I know Jill.
Ryan's got the mindset.
So this is where, as a coach, I get kind of confused because, like, I want them to follow a workout program, and I do think the meal plans are also good, but I'm kind of like Allison too. You either go all in and then afterwards it's like, I don't know, I go off the deep end. But as like helping my clients, how do I help them say, okay, you need to do this program, maybe follow the meal plan, or you could do this 2B mindset plan. Like, I'm just kind of all over the place with it.
Well, I mean, the goal would be to really have people focus on this wholeheartedly. And if you wanted to like have people continue to work out while doing this, that's fine. But I recommend putting them through a workout, you know, recommendations that wouldn't interfere with this. So exercise is extra credit with the 2B mindset. I exercise regularly, and I don't want people to think I don't. I do, but I have found like you have to kind of play with which workout works for you, right? Because like I found I used to spin and cycle, go to those spinning classes, and every time I'd go to one of those classes, I would be a bottomless pit, ravenous afterwards, and would totally like eat way too much to overcompensate. But I find if I do something more like Paya or a bar type class, you know, like it actually relieves my stress, makes me sleep better, actually lowers my anxiety. So my eating is in actually an even better place and it can enhance my weight loss experience. So it's really, I recommend with the 2B mindset, like you have people focus on this, prioritize this, and then, you know, make slow recommendations for experimenting with a workout that helps them. I mean, I think Jill, like you're already thinking about like all the future programs. I think just like maybe focus on this first, because the answers really come out once people do this. And I know it sounds weird that I'm not pushing exercise, but literally what we see from the test groups, as Ryan is like an exact example of, is when you tell people they don't have to work out and they focus on this, after a couple of weeks, they want to work out. And I think that your clients will actually want to work out and be like curious about the workout after doing this than ever before. And that's what so many of the coaches have literally seen for themselves. So many coaches have said that they work out because they're a coach, but they still call it torture and they still suffer through it. And they're open with their, you know, challengers about how much they hate it, but they still do it because they feel like they have to. And now they like literally change their mindset and actually enjoy working out in a different way. So I think you just got to trust the process and how it works, because it really, when you do call it extra credit and people prioritize this and start feeling so empowered and good in their bodies, you actually want to work out.
Yeah. I'm also a teacher, so I get the extra credit. Like I'm all for that. Can I ask another question too?
Yeah, whatever you want.
So I've done the Ultimate Reset. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but like I loved it. But what was really hard was going back to reality. So what I'm gaining is like, this is all focused on.
This is the opposite.
Okay.
This is reality from day one.
Okay.
And that's like literally the best part that we hear from people, is that like the number one best thing, I mean, there are a couple great testimonials that come out of the program, but one of the best things is when moms say that their kids don't realize they're on a program. Their husbands don't realize they're on a program. I mean, like that is the coolest thing. Like we've had several women say, you know, they ask their husband, how happy am I doing a program? And the husband will be like, I forgot you were on one. Even though this woman's now down 35 pounds and focusing tremendously on it. So that's one of the coolest things, is that you are still eating out at restaurants. You are still eating with your family. You are still traveling, and you don't feel different. You don't feel like you have to follow this thing strictly, like, and eat differently than everyone else at the table. You'll learn like how you can eat and integrate yourself and your lifestyle with the 2B mindset. That's why it's so sustainable.
Yeah.
And you get to enjoy all those amazing recipes. They're perfect for the program.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm really excited for this. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I have one more question before I take over this call.
Yeah.
Can I get your opinion on, I don't know if you can share this or not, but as far as like weighing yourself and the goes, what's your mentality?
Oh, I'm so happy the teacher asked me this question. What grade do you teach?
5th grade.
5th grade. So did you give tests?
Yes.
Would your students ever study for their tests if you never gave them a test?
No.
Of course not. Right? If they weren't being graded, they would never submit their assignments. Yes, I'm a fan of the scale. It works as an accountability tool, as you guys will see. So Yes, I'm a fan of the scale. Yes, I love the scale. You will love the scale too. Everyone here on this call, I know right now you're probably terrified of the scale, hate the scale, have been told to avoid the scale, have told people to avoid the scale. I almost promise you that you will start to love the scale. You'll be a really big fan of it, and it's going to be the thing that's going to keep you consistent and on track in so many ways. I could talk about this for a while. I don't know how long you guys want me to talk about this. I haven't found a way to shorten this talk because I do love the scale so much for so many reasons. So I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. I think I've gotten it down to 5 minutes, but I can go up to 3 hours on this. The scale I'm a big fan of. As you guys heard my own personal weight loss story, it was avoiding the scale for 10 months that made me have to start all the way over every single time. And even if, you on the call have a lot of weight to lose, have gained weight in the past, if you think about a time that you were gaining a lot of weight, whether it was after you had a kid or when you got married or when you got a desk job or when you got a physical injury or when you just got off plan, if you think about a time in your life where you did gain a lot of weight, it was probably because you were avoiding it. And not going on it. And even during a time where you're probably doing some silly plan that was depriving in some way or ridiculous in some way, you're probably loving the scale because at least it's going down. So people love it when it's going down. People hate it when they're avoiding it and gaining. And I'm going to show you that even if you have a negative relationship with the scale in the past because you were going on all the time while starving yourself, you have a negative relationship with it because you felt like you had to do these crazy things in order to see it go down. But you're going to see with the 2B mindset, you're going to eat big meals, satisfying meals. You're going to totally live your life and travel, and that thing will go down. So you're going to start loving it because it's going to show you that you actually can lose weight while losing weight, live your life while losing weight. Also, I find when people are scared of the scale, it's really just a fear of food. And that's really what it comes down to is a lot of people feel like, okay, if they have a piece of cake, they might as well eat the whole cake and the bag of chips. That is the culture we live in, that people think Ryan's Allison, literally people are in this idea right now, if I have one slice of pizza, I might as well have the whole slice of pizza and the fries and the milkshake because obviously. And no one thinks they have self-control and no one exhibits self-control in any way because we live in this very all or nothing mentality. But with the scale, you actually realize, oh wait, if I approach the pizza the way Ilana explains to approach the pizza, and I approach the glass of wine the way Ilana explains to approach a glass of wine, I could actually have pizza and beer, pizza and wine, fries and calamari or whatever, and still lose weight that week. And you start to realize that food isn't as scary as we've made it. And we have so many blogs and so many diets calling sugar poison and fries poison and meat poison and dairy poison and all gluten poison and all this stuff. And we're so terrified of what to eat now. And when people start going on the scale, they start to create their own system. They start to trust themselves, treat themselves, and not feel like they're cheating themselves, and start to realize that they actually can lose weight eating normally and being human. It's also been highly studied, and I have a zillion studies to prove it for long-term weight loss success. So I'm actually in this group of the longest study within America of Americans who've lost weight and kept it off. So it's called the National Weight Control Registry, and it's a group of over 10,000 Americans who've lost about 66 pounds and kept it off for 5.5 years. So it's a group of, we live in a society that promotes obesity. We know it. Between our marketing, our ads, our fast foods, we live in a society that's obesity latent, and 2/3 of Americans are either overweight or obese. And so these 10,000 Americans who've lost weight within this culture and kept it off have a lot of habits that I've taken from to make my program work so well for people. And out of this 10,000 Americans who lost weight and kept it off, over 78% weigh themselves at least once a week. Obviously, how would they know that they're keeping their weight off if they weren't checking their weight? So it literally just becomes a tool to help you figure out what works for you, what doesn't, and maintain your weight loss. I could talk about this for so long. A 2-pound weight gain, this is crazy. This is a study came out, a 2-pound weight gain, just a 2-pound weight gain, that could be literally one night of nachos and margaritas in Mexico. A 2-pound weight gain is nothing. But every 2-pound weight gain can cause an increase of 4.5% to 9% increase in diabetes. 4.5 to 9% increase in diabetes from just a 2-pound weight gain. So what happens is people avoid the scale. So they don't see a 2-pound weight gain and learn to correct it and fix it. They let it go to 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. And then we have this massive like diabetes crisis in America. Whereas instead of just monitoring your weight on a $20 tool you keep in your bathroom, now you have to prick your blood, take medications, increase your risk of amputations and heart attacks, you know, all because we just avoided the scale. So, I mean, I could talk about this forever. We all talk about the obesity crisis. Carl talks about the obesity crisis. The news talk about the obesity crisis. Everyone talks about the obesity crisis, that 2/3 of Americans are either overweight or obese. If you're a normal weight, which a lot of people on this call are a good healthy weights, but if you're a healthy weight, you're a minority right now. So good for all of you for like being such leaders in the space. But like I was in a room today where, you know, I said that stat of 2/3 of Americans are either overweight or obese. And I was in a room of like 20 people and every single one was either overweight or obese. Like it. Anyway, we talk about this crisis. We talk about how it's increasing our rates of cancers, heart disease, diabetes. We talk about how heart disease is the #1 killer in America, how 80% is preventable with lifestyle factors, including weight loss. And yet, obesity and overweight is measured by your weight. Weight is measured on a scale, and we're all avoiding the scale. It doesn't make any sense. So it's kind of like Jill, if Jill took away her test from her classroom, how would she know if the kids were learning? How would she motivate the kids to learn? So it's just a tool. And if you've hated it in the past, it's because you didn't have a whole program supporting how to use it as a tool. And it is just one out of a zillion tools that you're going to use in tracking your progress and seeing success. And people end up freaked out that I like the scale and promote it in the beginning. So the first 3 days, people go nuts. And the first 3 days in starting the program, like May 2nd to May 7th, all that will be on the internet is Ilana Muhlstein is a witch and making me go on this scale. I promise you. But after a few days, everyone becomes literally obsessed with it, loves it. Just one night of treating yourself to a cocktail or a cookie and going on the next day and seeing that it might go up 0.1 or 0.2 or not at all, or a pound or something you can't control. People end up, whoa, it's so not as scary as I always made it. And I actually know what to do now to bring it down. And then people become obsessed with it. And the whole conversation completely changes and everyone's obsessed with it and loves it and never wants to avoid it again because they know how bad things can steer off course if they do. So yes, it's like an instant reaction. People can't believe I say I like the scale because so many people have said that to avoid it. But I am a big believer that telling people not to go on this thing is one of the biggest aspects of why it's gotten to such a bad place. So I'm a big fan of the scale. Sorry, I spoke about this for a while. But I've been published in the Journal of Obesity for my research on the scale. It's helpful. It's a great tool, and it helps people lose weight, get positive feedback for what's working, overcome emotional eating in a lot of ways. Because, you know, you're surely stressed. You're in a fight with your boyfriend. You're lost your job. Life gets tough, right? And you are anxious and you're eating out of stress and you're eating out of all these things. And you think it's making you feel better. But if you keep going on the scale and you see that the scale keeps going up while your issues aren't being resolved, it's a really nice wake-up call that emotional eating is not okay. And you got to take care of the big root of the problem here. And the eating is more destructive than it is productive. So it's also an incredible tool for stopping emotional eating when none of your friends are really going to tell you to. So it's great. You'll love it. If you hate it now, that's normal. If you still hate it after a day or two, normal also. But when you trust the process and you do the whole program, you'll realize like it's better to know your way and know how to overcome it and control it than to continue avoiding it and being scared of it, because that just continues to create this like anxiety around food and your weight, which it's really just a health measure. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. You just spoke to my soul. So
that's the briefest I can make it.
That was actually pretty good. I'm impressed. Christina, I see you on here. You and Allison had the same question. So if you want to go ahead and unmute, you can ask that question.
I might actually defer Allison to do it just because my connection is super choppy and I can't see anyone's videos anymore. If that's okay, if she's available to maybe tackle this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if my connection's really great, but, and I'll maybe speak for Christina too, but I dealt with anorexia for 3 years until I found Beachbody actually is what kind of got me out of it.
Wow.
And I know for me and Christina and others that food was, you know, it was a fear for me. And it was something that, you know, I determined how I felt that day, you know, what I ate and things like that. And I know a lot of people that I've been working with have also dealt with them or are dealing with eating disorders. And I'm just curious how this program works for people like that, because especially now that you talked about the scale, because that was something that I stepped on 5 to 10 times a day. And I, you know, going through recovery, they told me, no, don't step on it. And so I'm just curious, I'm sure you have insight into how this program works with eating disorders.
Totally. So, one thing is like, you will never be stepping on it 5 times a day. That I'm totally against and not on board with. And no, you couldn't even pay me to go on later in the day, because I'm going to have you drink so much water and eat so many vegetables that like, it's going to go up throughout the day, and it should go up throughout the day because you're going to be eating so much, but you'll see like, you know, it gets taken care of itself each morning. So, you're not going to be going on multiple times a day. You're not going to be obsessed with it. And actually, what I always say is like, the more you're obsessed with the scale, it's like the more you're just not paying attention to the other parts of the program. So like a lot of people will be like, why is the scale not going down? Whatever. And like, you know, everyone likes to focus on the result, not the action. And like anytime anyone is too focused on the scale, it's because they're not focusing enough on the rest of the program, because it's one out of like 20 million things I'm going to suggest you do to help control your food. So, okay, so let's talk about eating disorders. Is this for people with eating disorders? Because that's like a really big question. So there is a very fine line between eating disorders and disordered eating. So let me explain. So in my private practice, like for example, like I've worked with like someone dealing with anorexia. So just to give an example, I have like a girl in mind who is a teenager whose sister got hit by a car accident and passed away when she was younger. And so as the sister and the only other sibling, she developed anorexia as a means of coping with the struggle, gaining some control of her life, and acquiring attention from her parents when her parents were really distracted. So obviously, so, you know, it's really eating disorders as classically classified are psychological disorders, where people manifest the psychological disorders through food. And that's why eating disorders are classified in the DSM book of psychological disorders next to manic depressive and claustrophobia and all these other psychological disorders, but the manifestation of it is via food. So if someone is like that, like she was, they shouldn't be doing any sort of big program. They should be seeing psychologists and doctors and dietitians specializing in eating disorders and really get to the help they really need. So anyone who's in that camp shouldn't be doing anything aside from going to a specialty clinic and specialists who give them the attention that they need to uncover and overcome those issues. However, then there's a huge pool of people with disordered eating. And literally, I can't even put a number on what that is, because in our country, in our society now, that is like almost every single person walking on the street. Because in today's day and age, in 2018, if you've done vegan for a minute and then did paleo or keto for a minute, you're for sure have some form of disordered eating. I mean, how could you not? These two trendiest, biggest programs now are in complete conflict with one another. One tells you to eat no meat, one tells you to only eat meat. Both are saying good, one's evil, one's bad, one's poison. So if you have done even just one cleanse pill, only grapefruit, only juices, if you've done any sort of extreme thing at one point in your life, you have some form of disordered or fear of some sort of foods, likely. Or feel guilty or for cheating or something in relation to the foods you eat, and fall into some camp of disordered eating, which you will so overcome and be treated of once you do this program. And that's what we've seen over and over again, is how many people have done this program and they are not even open about their disordered eating when they join the test groups, but after a couple of weeks, they're like, oh my God, was I in a disordered place, and how much better I am because of it. So I think it's a very fine line of understanding who you're speaking to, who you are, who your client is, of what to recommend them. So if it's someone who like has just felt like they had to be gluten-free, dairy-free, this, and they just are so confused on how to eat, and they just whatever, they need this program, and they will benefit so much because of it. But if there's like a real psychological trigger to it, you know, you got to tell them they shouldn't be doing this. So, I mean, I think you just really have to know yourself. You really have to know your audience and your client base.
Okay. Thank you so much. That really helps and makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have any more questions for Ilana? Like literally reading through the comments and just messaging with Lara. It literally went from like, I don't know about this girl to, oh my God, I cannot wait for next week. Like it literally, this call took a 180, and I'm
good. I love
it happened for us.
Honestly, it's okay to be skeptical. The results of this program, I know, like they seem too good to be true. And a lot of people are like, how the heck does this even work? And the truth is like, some of our skeptics have been our most successful testimonials. I love a good skeptic, especially all of you who are like, I do every program to a T, no matter what, like good. Like, I mean, that's why I love the coaches in the groups, because like you guys really, you know, you do it wholeheartedly. And you're going to be super successful, and you're going to love it. And I really think you're all going to see it's like a breath of fresh air approach to eating. And you know, just do the program, watch it all. I'm glad we spoke about the scale today, because I mean, I just think that's like, it's one of those things that really distract people early on. And like, once you watch the whole program, you realize like how helpful it is. But I mean, I think you guys will all love it. And I hope that as coaches, you'll all join May 2nd to be part of my coach group. So I can help continue to answer like whatever questions and hesitations and, you know, issues with it you have.
Fantastic. Ilana, thank you so much for spending an hour of your evening with us tonight. And I can't wait. So yeah, everyone's going to be joining on the 2nd, and we're all going to be in that group. And this is absolutely going to be a game changer for so many people. And I think even just the shift in this group tonight in the last hour is like the evidence of how much this program can impact all of us that think we already got our stuff together. And we're already like, oh, wow, yeah. I can be even better. It's amazing.
A lot of people are like, oh my God, she says so many things that I don't follow, or I don't agree with, or I don't recommend, or that I've never heard before. But then again, like if nothing changes, nothing changes. Like I said, I mean, like it's so fascinating to me that over the past 30 years, like people have made eating more and more and more complicated. And our obesity epidemic literally gets worse and worse and worse. And a lot of people find like when they do my program, like they're like, gosh, it's so much simpler than people made, like than everyone's making. It is not that complicated. Like the scale in and of itself is something that's been around forever. And the second we started like telling people to avoid it, the second like it really started spiking. It's really kind of going back to what works, you know, and everyone's saying, don't eat grains, and you can't eat fruit, and you can't eat it. And it's like, look at the cultures of the world that do eat grains and fruit. Like they actually have the lowest rates of heart disease and the lowest rates of obesity. So it's not that you can't eat these things. We just have to learn to approach them in a better way. And I think you guys will really love this program for that.
Ilana, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being here. This has been phenomenal. And we will see you all like later, like soon, next week.
Love you guys.
Great night, everyone.